Hello, and welcome to Off the Shelf Reviews.
I've seen things you people wouldn't believe.
And I'm Gary. And today we're going to review and discuss Blade Runner, which came out in 1982 from director Ridley Scott, adapted by the novel from Philip K. Dick, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? Iain, why don't you give us the synopsis for Blade Runner?
Well, the story is set in LA 2019. We follow Deckard, played by Harrison Ford, who has been assigned the mission to take out 4 replicants. Replicants are manufactured people who look, sound, and feel just like us. But these 4 are trying to seek a way to extend their life before it's ended by Deckard.
This is one of those films that was massively overshadowed upon its initial release, like a lot of films were, by that famous extraterrestrial known as E.T.
Little bastard.
Blade Runner came out about 2 weeks afterwards alongside John Carpenter's The Thing.
Oh, that would have been a good... Yeah.
It was a very good year for films, 1982. And so because of the hype for E.T., not many people went to see Blade Runner. And after it sort of had low critical reviews and low reception, the film was pulled from theatres. And then over subsequent years, there would be sort of midnight screenings for those that had found this film and are already proclaiming it a cult classic.
Yeah.
Of course, the film is now widely recognised and praised as being one of the greatest films ever made, if not one of the greatest science fiction films ever made.
He say you Blade Runner.
Tell him I'm eating.
And this is Ridley Scott's first American feature film.
Wow.
All of his other films, including Alien, were all shot and filmed in London. And so this was his first foray into American development, and it was a disaster. You know, they went over budget, they went over production time. Ridley Scott was firing and hiring people as they went. You know, the crew of the film were wearing T-shirts that were insulting Ridley Scott. The crew of the film called it Blood Runner because that's how they felt. It was tedious, it was painful, because Ridley Scott would walk onto the set and go, it's not right, change it, the lighting's not right, rebuild the set. And they would just be like, 2 weeks we've built this set, and they're like, right, another 2 weeks you've got to redo it.
Yeah.
And you know, the producers for the film, because there was like 3 different production companies that put the money forward for this, were getting worried that this first time British director over here was fucking things up for the studios. And you know, it was right to the wire. On the very last day of filming for Ridley Scott, the producers were there ready to take creative control away from him.
Ooh.
And that is why over the years there was the theatrical release, the international release, the director's cut, which Ridley Scott had nothing to do with. This was the studio trying to complete an alternate cut before the final cut was released, where Ridley Scott had creative control restored to make the edit of the film that he actually wanted.
Yeah, 7 versions of this film.
I think there's 5 real versions. The others are, you know, there's minor changes.
I've only ever seen 1 version of this film. I have watched every single copy of Blade Runner that appears to exist, because I know this guy. You know, he will make you sit through it just cause. But I'd only ever seen 1 version, and that was on a late Saturday night. The series of sci-fi movies were happening on Saturdays on Channel 3. I'd watched The Terminator. I'd seen Aliens. Blade Runner's on. Oh, okay. And I sat down and I watched it, and I fucking hated it. It was boring as shit. You know, it dragged.
I concur. At a very young age, Blade Runner was boring.
Oh, after coming off the back of the Terminator.
Oh, yeah.
After coming off the back of Aliens, you know, Blade Runner just...
You know, it was, for me, it was a case of, I'd seen Star Wars and I'd seen Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch another Harrison Ford film.
Exactly, another reason. Yeah.
You know, that was 12-year-old me reacting to this film. I didn't get it. The themes and the character exploration and everything like that just went straight over my head, because there was no cybernetic aliens or anything killing people.
Yeah, the most we get is this beautiful futuristic view of LA, and that's always what stuck with me.
Oh yeah.
You know, after watching it the first time and never wanting to watch it again, I wouldn't even mention the film to my friends. You know, because I'm like, oh, they would hate me if I made them sit through that. But as the years went on, that's always stuck with me, the way LA looked.
Yeah.
As I watched all the other versions, I was completely set on the mindset of Deckard, the detective, going back to, say, the Maltese Falcon.
Oh yeah,
Humphrey Bogart.
It is film noir, but I guess the term for it is neo noir.
Neo noir, yes, that was the term coined for it. But that's what I mean. It's a futuristic telling of this detective story, and that has always stuck with me. The multiple layers that I know he's going to school us on at some point during this review. They're there. I'm not arguing that, and I'm not disputing the fact that people can see them and say, yeah, this is what I think. This is what I think of that sequence and that sequence. I sit there going, yeah, that's fine. But he's a detective, a human detective.
Well, and speaking of layers, Ridley Scott coined that term when building the sets for this film, was that he wanted to layer everything.
Yes.
So that it looked like a believable, real, lived-in world that you could see. You could see the projection of humans going in this direction, where we would have some kind of ecological, environmental disaster.
Hab blocks, we're looking at Mega City 1 there.
Yeah.
That's it. We're looking at the megalopolis, basically. Yeah. And it is beautiful, but his idea and what he had at the time, in 1982, what the money available, the technology, the computers weren't even that great. Most of it was made out of cardboard. And polystyrene.
From the miniatures, from the matte paintings, But he had the attention to detail to make sure that there were stickers and signs on buses, on parking meters, on windows, on theaters in the background.
It's weirdly enough that the city of LA is very much like Neo Tokyo.
Well, he almost filmed the entire film in Tokyo because he wanted... he envisioned the idea that in the future the East would dominate the West in terms of culture, or that when the two cultures would merge, they would be the prominent one.
Well, he should have at least dropped Weyland-Yutani in at some point, just for a joke, for an in-joke.
He does in a way. I mean, when in one of the early sequences where Leon's being interrogated by Holden, some of the walls in there look like the walls from the ship in Alien.
Yeah.
And when Gaff and Deckard are in the police car, if you look at the computer readout,
screen,
it's the one from the Narcissus, from Alien.
Yeah.
It's the exact same screen.
But it's not a big hint. You'd only spot that if you were the fan.
You could easily imagine the crew from Alien going into a bar in Blade Runner.
Oh, totally.
It could easily work.
But we start off with that text crawl coming up explaining the future to us. LA 2019, replicants have been created to send off-world into hostile locations.
To do slave labour.
To do slave labour so that we can send in the human population after. But the replicants have obviously been designed not to feel emotion, because they would start to become emotional in situations. And to stop them from gaining the experiences that we garner on emotions, they're only giving a 4-year lifespan.
Yeah, so that should they become too emotionally aware at that point, they're at the end of their lifespan anyway.
Yeah.
So it's the fail-safe that's been put there.
Brilliant idea, and you just immediately then just fly over the city with the music playing in the background, and it took me a lot back to Legend.
Yeah.
It took me to the beginning of Alien, where I'm just kind of just easing myself in, and then it flows into the room with Holden, who is a Blade Runner. And then we have Leon come in to start the questioning.
The Voight-Kampff test.
Yeah, what the fuck? I mean, they ask you these...
It's an empathy test to find out how much empathy you have, because obviously replicants don't.
Right, but there are multiple tests pulled off in the film. The one that we see at the beginning and the one that we see later on, all it just seems to do is agitate.
Well, yeah, it provokes them because they don't know how to respond. Leon right at the beginning, he doesn't even know what a tortoise is. He has to have it explained to him. And so then trying to have him have an emotional response to something he doesn't quite understand, especially when his family is mentioned,
he doesn't have a family, does he?
Exactly. It triggers him and he shoots Holden.
But Brian James playing Leon, he plays it so well.
Fantastically so, yeah.
And then we have those gunshot blast, and you're like, whoa, what the fuck was
What
that?
sort of weapon was that to send him through the wall?
Yeah, you know, where did he have that hidden?
Describe in single words only the good things that come into your mind. About your mother?
My mother?
Yeah.
Let me tell you about my mother.
And then just cuts back to the city again. The city sequences in Blade Runner, I think, are just absolutely amazing. I'm happy not to have... Now I'm older and more experienced, I'm happy not to have laser blasts and huge explosions.
Yeah, it's
you know?
kind of low tech,
Yeah,
high
but
tech.
everybody's all condensed.
Well,
Blade Runner's future is more believable to me than getting on a spaceship and flying out into space.
Yeah, I mean, you can believe that there are other worlds and other colonies and other spaceships. I mean, Soldier is one of those films that is a sidefall to this, according to the writer. And I love how multi-layered, again, that the film is in terms of depicting society, where you have the upper echelons, you know, that are above the smog and the shit.
Yeah.
You know, in their giant pyramid towers. You know, they get to see the sunrise. And then you have those that are down in the squalor, where it's perpetual nighttime, where it's always raining and it's mucky and it's horrible and it's low lighting and there's all that noise pollution. You know, it's...
You know the line, man. You're either police or you're little people. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, boom, that just sets you up. That
there are so many little one throwaway lines in the film that just, again, just layer the film up. It is very well written that way.
Yeah. But we see Deckard there, and he's waiting for his spot at the noodle bar. Harrison Ford, I don't think he has looked any better than in Blade Runner. I mean, I like him in Indiana Jones, but it's the hat and the whip.
Yeah.
You know, I like him in Star Wars, but you know, it's Chewie. He's got to have Chewie there. When you see Deckard with his long brown coat on, you know, just kind of sitting there in the rain. Love the fact that there's no backstory to Deckard.
Yeah.
But you get little hints that something has happened. We will know that he's an ex-Blade Runner who has retired, shall we say. And he's being called back because while he sat there waiting for his food, Edward James Olmos walks up behind him and tells him he's under arrest.
I love the fact that Edward James Olmos, you know, he came up to Ridley Scott and he was like, how about I do this sort of dialect, or this language, which is a mixture of European languages merged with Japanese and Chinese and Hungarian and all these languages. And so, you know, I like the fact that city speak is, you know, a kind of an idea of all of these cultures coming together and a new language coming from it.
Gaff is the man of the streets.
Yeah.
You know, he I reckon he could probably walk around LA and nobody would touch him because he works with the cops. All the cops would know him, you know. Edward James almost carries himself in a way that he's not a bumbling idiot.
He elevates this character to more than a character. You know, he could have just been a throwaway, unremarkable person who just turns up just to say a few words. But he really defined this character, and of course it being Edward James Olmos, who is a fantastic actor.
I still didn't believe it when we watched Battlestar Galactica, the remake, and Gary goes, "It's the guy from Blade Runner." I'm like, "Fucking no, it's not. This guy's like 50 pounds overweight. The other guy's like a thin Japanese man." And then, how wrong was I? But he takes Deckard to Bryant, played by M. Emmett Walsh.
Great.
You know, critters. And he sets Deckard up so amazingly. You know, at this point, watching Blade Runner for the first time, you're thinking, what the fuck's going on? I've seen that this guy get shot. You know, I know we're in the future, but why is this guy under arrest? And Bryant basically says to him, I need the best. I need the old Blade Runner back.
He explains that there are 3 skin jobs.
Well, there were 6.
Yes.
And then 2 of them got fried by an electric fence trying to break into the Tyrell Corporation, who are the big creators behind the replicants.
So yeah, there's four replicants that he's been tasked with hunting down.
Yeah.
It's Roy Batty, Pris, Leon, and Zora. Yeah.
Yeah. Rutger Hauer playing Roy Batty. I believe this was the first film I ever watched him in, and the second I think was The Hitcher.
Right.
And it really blew me away that I just, you know, he was just crazy in both films. But this one he was really human-like crazy. In The Hitcher he's really human-like crazy, where in this one he's synthetic.
Well, it's the thing is, he's been. You're told that he's the bad guy. He's the one that our hero has to
Yes.
go and kill.
Yeah.
And we're told that that these replicants killed a bunch of civilians, hijacked a ship, and have landed back on Earth.
Yeah.
And at first, you're thinking, right, so they've got 4-year lifespan. Why did they come back to Earth, man? What a shithole! Like all the places they could go to, and would soon discover that it's because they're trying to get to the Tyrell Corporation to find their maker.
Yeah.
To get an extended lifespan because they're not happy with their 4 years.
I mean, oh my God. I mean, you just dropped that big bombshell there, but oh my God, we're now on a whole spiritual level of replicants understanding that they are alive
and that they will die.
They have been created and built to do these tasks, and these four, I mean, like I said, we've got Roy, we've got Pris, played by Daryl Hannah.
Fantastic in this one.
Yeah, absolutely amazing actress. We've got Zora playing Joanna Cassidy from the Tommyknockers. and John Carpenter's Escape from Mars. They are... Bryant tells us, Roy's a fucking combat module. Pris is a sex module. Leon is is just a heavy loader. Zora is a fucking death squad on legs. And so you immediately buy that this is the task. These are, like Gary said, are the bad guys. But the more times you watch this film, the more I start to sympathise
massively.
with the replicants. That they are, okay, it's illegal that they should have come back to Earth because they are literally just killing people, but they don't know any better. They kind of want to meet their creators.
Yeah, in many ways they are childlike.
Yes.
In terms of their experiences being so limited, and so we do learn more about replicants when we're introduced to Rachel, because Deckard has been flown into the Tyrell Corporation to be introduced to a Nexus 6 model, which is the most advanced version of these replicants, which are the ones he's going to be hunting.
Yeah.
And so he meets Tyrell and he meets Rachel, and you have that glorious shot of the owl.
Sean Young. I mean, rare few films that she's looked hotter in.
This was her first ever acting role. This was her first ever, theatrical role ever.
Yeah, and she'd go on to be the captain in fucking Ace Ventura. But she was great in Wings of the Apache as well, if you've ever seen that. But yeah, Blade Runner, she comes walking out, and I mean, maybe it's just Ridley Scott, but first time I watched it, she come walking out, and I'm like, robot. Nobody dresses like that, Gary. I mean, come on, look at LA and look how she's fucking dressed.
That's because you've just come from the dregs, the lower streets of LA, up into the highest kind of echelons of society.
But also when Deckard is tasked by Tyrell to put the test onto Rachel, Rachel doesn't know. Don't tell her. You can immediately tell by her fucking eyes. Their eyes, the replicant eyes, are completely artificial, and so they reflect light. Or some...
Just like the owl shot. The very first thing you see is its eyes.
Every single replicant's eyes does that. So I'm sat there and I'm like, right, for me, personally, I know who the machines are. They're the unemotional ones with the weird eyes. And Rachel is this one. And Tyrell's like, yeah, she doesn't know. I haven't told her. And I'm like, you fucking dick.
You're reading a magazine. You come across a full-page nude photo of a girl.
Is this testing whether I'm a replicant or a lesbian, Mr. Deckard?
Just answer the questions, please.
You deserve to die, Tyrell, because you live at the top of this huge, massive corporation. You are alone. This is why he created Rachel for himself and gave her, I believe, memories from his niece as a companion for himself.
Well, you don't really get to see the inner workings of the Tyrell Corporation
at all. You don't need to. It's all automated. It'll be all inside that big factory, just day in, day out, creating all this stuff. Tyrell just sits on a massive mound of money. But he doesn't like people either. He doesn't like mixing with, like you said, the lower dregs of society. But he has to keep himself in wealth. He's creating these slave modules so that we don't have to send people into death zones. But he's lonely. He can't have just some simple receptionist. So he creates this amazingly looking replicant model and says to Deckard, like, oh yeah, put the test on her. See if she passes. And Deckard's like, no. Deckard immediately knows she's a fucking replicant.
Not immediately, no. I mean, he explains that he had to do 3 times the amount of questioning in order to fully believe and understand that she was a replicant. So that goes to show how advanced the model she is.
But weirdly enough, in comparison with Leon's reaction to the test, Sean Young acts it to me like she's holding back, like she wants to react, but she is just so tight, you know, and professional and low key that this is how it's going to be. And I'm like, that makes it even worse because Deckard's all laid back, he's all cool, you know. That's what I feel maybe the replicants are missing, that they're not so laid back and so experienced. I mean, like I said, maybe it's just me, but Deckard obviously is now has now been informed that Rachel is a replicant, and we start to follow Roy and Leon searching around for a way into the corporation. You know, they make their way to a I can't remember what they called it. I think it was Chew's Eye Workshop.
Yeah,
but it's Lopan. Lopan in a big coat, and he's making these eyes in liquid nitrogen. And you just have that whole questioning sequence from Roy. And you're like, the film's trying to tell you that these are the bad guys.
Yeah.
But like Gary said, they're so childlike. They don't know how to act. And it comes across in the scenes. You know, Leon puts his hand in the liquid nitrogen. He's not doing it in a threatening manner. He's doing a, what's this?
Well, he it's also proving to Lopan that he's not human, that he is, you know, one of the Nexus models, and that's when he realizes then that he's surrounded by his creation.
And
Roy Batty delivers that awesome line that if only you could see what I've seen with your eyes.
Yeah.
And it's just that's a really amazing line.
Yeah.
Really, it captures everything.
Sure. If only you could see what I've seen with your eyes.
But after they've interrogated him, he yields Sebastian's name.
Yeah, JF Sebastian.
JF Sebastian as a way for them to be able to get into the Tyrell Corporation. At the same time, Deckard is still trying to find these replicants. He goes to where they were last holed up, and he goes into the bathroom and he finds a scale.
Yeah.
And he takes it downtown and asks a couple of ladies to have a look at it under a microscope. Apparently it was a bud of weed that was underneath the microscope that you're looking at. But he finds the serial number on it, which tells him that it was a snake scale, and he ends up going over to the guy who manufactures snakes, finds out who it was sold to, and then he ends up going to this nightclub.
It is so amazingly done. I mean, I'm just going to jump in there while Gary's getting to the Zora sequence. The whole detective investigation stuff is so brilliantly done. You know,
you just love the zooming photographs.
Oh yeah, on the computer, and he's searching for all the information. And it's like when they first turn up at Leon's apartment, he's the one searching around, and Gaff's just there for lifts. You know, Gaff's just making all these little origami men and horses and shit. He's so skilled.
Go into the origami stuff. He does 3 origamis throughout the film, and each one of them is him mocking Deckard. In the first instance, he makes a chicken because Deckard's like, I ain't taking the job, I'm not doing it. So he calls him a chicken.
Okay.
The next one he makes is a man, a matchstick man, who would appear to have an erection. And that is him saying, obviously, you've got the burning hots for Rachel, and I know it.
Yeah.
And we'll get to the third one later.
yeah, we're going to get to the third one. But Deckard is doing all that investigation, and then he's going downtown, he's checking on his computer, and like I said, it just reminds me so much of those old black and white detective stories.
Yeah.
You know, where they're kind of driving around in the car like, I got all the information from Sammy down the road, and now I've got to head down here. But you don't get that from Deckard. It is all quiet. You just hear the bustling city.
Well, that's one of the things that's
cars.
been massively changed, is the voiceover has all been removed.
Yeah, I didn't
know. And that would be where Deckard would be literally condensing down what's happened and what he's doing to the audience. Yeah. And a lot of people didn't like it. I always find it fascinating who do like the voiceover work.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite directors, Guillermo del Toro, prefers the voiceover version of the film because he thinks that those voiceovers just really bullet point and emphasize everything that's going on, and really realizes Deckard as a character compared to where he doesn't say anything, and the audience has to gauge where he's coming from just from his performance.
Well, I suppose at the same time it's also a beautiful thing that with such a great film, you have 7 versions to choose from of what you want to do. Maybe you're busy, but you're just going to put it on in the background, so you just have Deckard talk to you about what he's doing. That would work. But at the same time as his investigation, we have Pris meeting up with JF Sebastian. Innocent girl lost kind of motif, which Sebastian kind of buys into.
Well, William Sanderson, the actor, he talks like that and sounds like that in real life.
Yeah, he's really quiet and meek.
He comes across as incredibly vulnerable and an easy target or an easy victim. And, and Pris plays him so well.
Yeah. But the whole decor of where he lives,
It's the Bradbury Hotel, which is a pretty famous building and has appeared in more than 10 films.
It looks fucked up. It is empty, it is decrepit, but his little room is just all set up. He's got his own little home. And I love the fact you got the kind of cyber blimp flying back and forth with that Japanese woman's face on it, telling everybody
the one
to smoke.
swallowing the pill.
Oh yeah, and swallowing pills. And shit.
That's an abortion advert. It's the morning after pill,
Yeah, well, Ridley Scott should have thought about that with Covenant. But anyway, Deckard finally gets to the club and meets up with Zora. And going back to the detective thing, I love that whole little moment he has with the club owner.
Right, yeah.
Who's just telling him, "Are your licenses in order? Give me the information." And this, just sets up the fact that we don't see Zora dance.
No, that was kind of a deleted scene. It's not. They didn't even film it. The budget restraints. They were like, "We want to do this, but we're gonna have to cut it."
But the weird thing is as well is not seeing it. I like to think that she's naked with a snake.
Well, yeah.
Just throwing it out there. So, I didn't need to see it.
It was the actress's own pet snake as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fucking brilliant.
That's why she's very comfortable with it.
Yeah, because it hisses towards Deckard. Because Deckard talks his way into her room. And
all in my mind, all I could hear was Indiana Jones going, "Why did it have to be snakes?"
I thought that as well. But what got me was the conversation they were actually having. Was his discussion with her if she had been kind of manipulated by any of the owners of this place
to doing sexual favors
for performances. And I'm like, whoa, Ridley Scott predicted 2019, Harvey Weinstein must have watched this film and took notes. But Zora attacks him. And 2 things here. First off, it is the monumental moment for me to say that Deckard is a human because he gets the shit kicked out of him. Okay? She takes him out. She is a badass replicant.
Yeah.
And she was going to kill him. Mm-hmm. He would have died right there. So, he can't be as superior as her to take that kind of punishment and allow her to get away. But at the same time, as she runs down the street, and you have that brilliant, amazing chase sequence. As she runs through the glass, he puts 2 bullets into her.
Yeah.
And we watch Zora smash through the glass and then collapse onto the floor dead. And immediately for me, I think after the second or third time I watched it, it cemented to me the reason why Deckard had quit being a Blade Runner, because he couldn't tell if it was murder or not.
Very much so, yeah.
That's
the big question about it is, you're taking away life and sentient life.
Yeah.
At that. And also sentient life that doesn't have long to live.
But weirdly enough as well.
But they are committing crimes and murder.
That's all he's been told.
Yes.
So he's just following orders. She could just be a human woman.
Well, he's pretty confident that he's never retired a human by mistake.
Yeah, that's it. He's pretty confident about it, but we don't know why he's retired.
No.
So maybe the many replicants that he's taken out.
I'd imagine the earlier replicants he had taken out would have had, bizarre twitches to them. They would have been obvious androids in a way.
Yes, I suppose. But still, that look on Deckard's face when he's looking at Zora's body.
The music's telling you as well,
he's
sad
depressed.
moment.
Yeah. He's depressed. He's lost it. And Leon has seen this murder and attempts to kill Deckard as well. And all of a sudden his fucking top of his head opens up and Rachel has shot him
Yeah.
in the back of the head to save Deckard.
Oh, Deckard had called her when he had gone to the nightclub to
Yes.
come down for drinks, and she had said, it's not my kind of place.
Yeah.
But lo and behold, she's come down anyway because she's, they both have
She's
an
in love with
obvious
him.
attraction to each
Yeah.
other, but with her being a replicant, she doesn't know what this feeling is. She's never had it before, and she doesn't know how to proceed with it.
Yeah.
But she knows it's there. And she does go back to Deckard's apartment.
Yeah.
Where this is one of the most awkward sequences in the film because it feels very forced and slightly unnatural. But then it when you put it in the context of that she is a synthetic, a replicant.
Yeah.
She's never had these feelings before. She's not used to it, but she knows she kind of wants to because she's fallen for this man.
Is this where he falls asleep and she plays the piano? Or is this... because they don't have sex, do they?
Well, it's kind of implied they do. I mean, Ridley Scott said there's no need for a sex scene, but the fact that, when he pushes her up against the wall and they start kissing...
Oh, yeah.
It
kind of roughhousing there. Which,
yeah.
Yeah.
He said that perhaps he
didn't
could have
need it.
explained it better, but he said it's important to show the evolution of these two characters, and especially from Rachel,
But
that she's learning.
But it just, like you said, it did seem a bit forced by Deckard, or at least Harrison Ford's character, where it's like, I know she's a robot and this is the future, but in my normal understanding of relationships, like, a bit of roughhousing only works if you're both roughhousing, and Rachel doesn't seem to know what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And so it is a bit awkward, and it is a bit... I feel like that Deckard's way too rough in that moment.
Yeah, I that's why I think that's why I kind of blocked it out. But I like the kind of play that they have each other. That first initial conversation they have in the apartment where he's telling her memories are fake.
Yes.
And then he takes it back, like, man, I've really hurt her feelings. It's like he doesn't see her as a replicant. He sees this beautiful woman. He knows she is, but he treats her as a beautiful woman. When they go back to the apartment and they start having drinks, he falls asleep, and she starts playing the piano. And I think I like to just leave it there, where it's like they'll have sex later at some point, but I don't need to see it now because JF has let loose that he can get away into the Tyrell Corporation because he knows Mr. Tyrell very, very closely, and Roy ends up coming to the apartment, meeting up with Pris, explaining to her that Zora and Leon are both dead and they're the last two, and they need to obviously do something. And it's kind of weird because there is a bit of a love thing between Pris and Roy.
Yeah.
But I don't think they know how to explain too much because obviously they're replicants.
Ridley Scott kind of explained that the replicants probably all had sex with each other because they... they
wouldn't
was that
know,
sort of commune, that sort of relationship that they all have with each other.
They're all brothers and sisters.
In
really.
a way, yeah.
And Sebastian and Roy end up going to the Tyrell Corporation because it managed to get him in checkmate.
Yes.
Which I think is just absolutely brilliant. Tyrell thinks he's so big, he actually has long distance chess games with one of his
technicians. It's the beauty of chess that you can do that.
And when they finally meet, the delivery between Roy and Mr. Tyrell, who I thought he was one actor. I thought he was the doctor from Street Fighter who made Blanca. But actually it turns out he's the waiter from The Shining, and I was like,
the barman,
whoa!
Yeah.
Blew me away.
He was cast from his role in The Shining because Ridley Scott was like that.
Big ass glasses.
The big thick glasses, yeah. Now apparently the actor had trouble reading or memorizing some of his lines of dialogue because it was a lot of technobabble.
Yeah, the sequence explains that.
Exactly, and so there would be, crew members on the side with big boards with his lines of dialogue on it, but because of the big thick rimmed glasses he had, it was just all distorted anyway. But there are moments when Roy's walking around him and you can see Tyrell just straight gazing in a different direction, like he's reading his cards.
He's reading his cards and not losing his point. And they just have this great moment.
Yeah.
Roy is trying to...
He's met his maker. He's met his god in a way.
And he's also trying to work out how he can extend his life, and he's using all the technobabble he's got and Tyrell is kind of countering with his.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful because, like, I don't know what number this is the time I've watched Blade Runner, but the fact that I always thought Tyrell was a bad guy, but he's just a businessman as well, and he explains to Roy in a very nice way, like, you were built as perfect as we could make you, but that is it.
I love the explanation. He's, you are a candle that burns at both ends, and
a candle that burns twice as bright, burns
Yes.
twice as fast.
Absolutely,
and it's like,
yeah.
yes, Roy, you cannot. If Roy extended his life, it would probably be the worst thing, because what would stop him from going on a mass genocidal killing spree?
Maybe if you gave him an extended life, he wouldn't, because he would learn to understand.
But that's a big maybe.
Yeah.
Look what you gave him for. Look what you gave him. You gave him 4 years. He managed to get back to Earth.
People were
to
far
his crater. In 4 years, he managed to get back to Earth, get to his crater, and kill him.
Yeah, in a pretty horrific way. He crushes his cranium and gouges out his eyeballs.
And that's what he got with 4 years. Imagine giving him a fucking extended lifespan. Look what David did, motherfucker.
Humans do a lot worse. Ridley Scott definitely enjoys exploring androids, synthetics, robots. In his films, and the exploration of humanity within them is almost paramount to some of those films.
Well, you're a big book reader. Have you ever read the book?
I haven't, no.
No, neither have I. But I've always kind of understood it because of the mass load of sci-fi stuff that I watched. That obviously androids, replicants, cyborgs, and then humans, they are all separate for a reason. Even watching Data try to have emotions causes problems.
Yeah.
He puts people's lives in danger, and it's probably best not to have that way. But we get the information to Deckard, who that Mr. Tyrell and Sebastian are both dead, and he manages to get the address of Sebastian's apartment. So he heads over there, and you have a quick but very, very brilliant sequence of Pris and Deckard fighting.
Yeah. I love the fact that Pris is just hiding in amongst all of Sebastian's toys.
Oh, yeah.
And Deckard's just getting closer and closer to her before she attacks him.
She just looks like a doll. That face makeup is just amazingly done. And, weirdly enough, when I think of Daryl Hannah, I think of Splash.
Right, yeah.
I don't think Blade Runner.
Yeah.
It's just so weird. But it's such a brilliant fight sequence because she seems to get the upper hand, and then as she's somersaulting back, he blasts her 2 shots. And she just goes into this massive rage.
Big death spasm.
Yeah.
It reminds me of Ash from Alien, after he's taking that hit and he just kind of explodes everywhere and flailing.
But that's another thing, Ash has got white blood coming out, and you're like, android. Pris has just got 2 big bullet holes in her stomach and blood pooling everywhere.
Yeah.
And he has to put in a couple more. And then we have the final confrontation with Roy when Roy turns up. And we talk about great endings, in cinema.
Yeah. The chase around the Bradbury building. I love the point where he lets Deckard go so that he can mourn for Pris.
Yeah, I'll give you a few seconds and then I'm coming for you.
Yeah.
And then he just toys with him.
Starts howling.
Yeah, but he breaks his fingers and then hands him his gun back, knowing that that's his good hand. So now he's got to fire with his other gun. I'm like, he's accepted his death at this point. They keep saying throughout the film, what it's like to live in fear.
Yeah.
And then Roy just kind of drops all the fear at the end. Like, I'm going to die.
Well,
all of my friends are dead. Fuck it,
I love that moment where, his arm starts seizing up, or he knows it's time to come, and he puts the nail right through his hand just to keep giving it feeling, just to keep going.
Yeah.
And, he corners Deckard, and Deckard ends up climbing outside the building, hanging off the edge, and Roy follows him up to the roof and jumps across to the other building.
It's all matte paintings in the background, isn't it? That's what always blew me away. It wasn't until years later, after the first time of watching it, when the DVD came out explaining all the behind the scenes, that I'm like, they shot that in the day? With a big matte painting?
Yeah.
That looks fucking amazing!
It is amazing.
And he's just hanging there. It's such a...
It's a great moment because, Roy's watching him and he's hanging on by a single hand, and Deckard's, last ounce of strength is just to spit in his direction. Like, I'm not even going to ask you for help. Like, I spit my last breath at thee, and that is enough for Roy to go, you're a fighter, I'm going to honor you because I respect you, and you are fighting for life like I am. So I will save your life.
Yeah.
Massively.
No.
Yeah.
No,
it's a warrior's respect right there.
It's a warrior's respect, maybe. But I also believe it's Roy's attempt to change something about himself. He could have let Deckard die there. Deckard would have died.
No, yeah.
And that's why I've always said he's not a replicant, because he's so weak in all of his fight sequences. He gets beaten up by Leon, he gets beaten up by Zora, he gets beaten up by Pris, and he gets beaten up by Roy. And Roy is just looking at him like, I could just let you die. But he grabs him and saves him to have a final moment, because he's killed everybody else in his path. So why not do something a little bit different this time? Do something for himself as well. Yeah, okay, warrior respect, they fought really well. It's his way of being able to look him in the eye and be like, I'm not everything that you thought I was, or what I've broken my programming as well.
Oh yeah, massively.
Yeah, I could have. I want to explain these things to you, and the fires off the nebulas,
beams off the shoulders of Orion.
Beams of the shoulders of Orion. It's such an amazing. The dialogue is amazing. The delivery is amazing. The lighting is amazing. The rain coming down is amazing.
Holding the dove and releasing it as
holding the dove, I think, is a bit much, because I'm like, I would have preferred knowing it was a fake dove as he's doing all of his running round, but it's a real one.
Well, it's an artificial one, but it's a real one.
Yeah. It's an but its head's moving, and he's holding it by the tail, and I'm like, that dove's like, what the fuck is going on? Rutger Hauer's got hold of me.
But it's the great big spiritual release as he goes.
Totally. Yeah.
Do androids do replicants go to heaven?
Yeah.
It's a spiritual release. So.
And he saves, like you said, he saved as a mutual respect to deliver the line to Deckard, and Deckard to be like, this is it. I always feel like this movie was the final chapter in Deckard's life in the city. He was like, no, I'm fucking out of this shit. I was a Blade Runner for 20 years. I lost my mind. I got the shakes. Maybe he had a wife. Maybe he had kids. We don't know. I've lost everything. And now I've almost been killed by these four fuckers. I'm gone. But he returns back.
And he bumps into Gaff.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and then Gaff delivers that line on the rooftop, doesn't he? Mm-hmm. And says, because Deckard was assigned to kill Rachel.
Because she fled and escaped the Tyrell Corporation.
Yeah, and obviously she's a high model Nexus 6 with possibly extended lifespan. And Gaff's the line, it's a shame that she won't live, but then again, who does? And I'm like, spiritual awakening from Edward James Olmos.
Yeah. But and so with that knowledge, he goes back to his apartment and he finds the unicorn outside, which means Gaff's been there, knows that Rachel's there, and has left her.
Yeah.
And that's where Deckard gets Rachel, grabs the unicorn, kind of has a nod of acknowledgement, and then leaves. And that, for me, is where the film. That's where the final cut ends.
Yeah. Well, that's it. Now, the unicorn is an ongoing... Well, it's not an ongoing argument since the sequel came out, so... But the unicorn is supposed to be a symbol for people that Deckard is a replicant.
Massively, yeah.
And that they've been implanting these memories and dreams.
It is.
It's not.
It is, because Ridley Scott, the guy who made the film, said that it is...
Rachel is the unicorn to Deckard.
Yeah, in one way, yes.
Yeah,
that is one way of interpreting it.
There's one way to interpret
There's no way Gaff would know to put a unicorn there unless he knew, like Deckard found out about Rachel's implanted dreams. Gaff could easily go on the files and see what Deckard's implanted, dreams and memories are.
Now, I've always speculated as well that it's maybe they implanted the dream into Deckard. Deckard is a human, but they implanted the dream into him to give him that boost. Now
the film doesn't explore that in any other way. But it does explore the other setup.
The version I watched when I was a kid had none of that.
No.
The version that I watched for this review had none of that. It had none of the voiceover. It had none of the extended unicorn dream sequences. It had none of
it was the director's cut.
It had none of the talk at the end of Deckard and Rachel out in the countryside.
Yeah, that's not in the final cut either.
Right, no, but Blade Runner is one big massive motherfucking film. If you put all the stuff together, okay, if you got all the stuff together, you, yes, could come under the impression that Ridley Scott tried to deliver Deckard to us as a replicant.
He did.
Eddie's seen his file. He's a replicant. Now, the new film, you better go and see it.
I saw it, it's great.
The whole point of the story on the new film is that he has to be a replicant. Otherwise it doesn't work. Right.
In interviews, several interviews, when Ridley Scott is asked if Deckard is a replicant, he says it's obvious, isn't it?
No.
Yes, he
No.
is.
No.
The unicorn
No.
at the end is the version of it. And what makes it interesting as well is that the unicorn is also made out of tin foil, which is, a metal. Whereas...
Right, but you're telling me... Right, so let me just get this right. You're telling me that what you believe is that Deckard was a replicant that was just...
Who has no background.
That was just brought online at that moment and left in the middle of the street in the rain to buy noodles, to be taken back to Brian, to be given these missions, to take out these other 4 replicants, which he gets his ass handed to all the way through the film, to meet up with Rachel and then leave.
Yeah.
No, makes no sense, mate. I'm sorry, it makes no sense.
Why? Why does it make no
Why
sense?
Why create a Blade Runner who could die at any point? What happens if he'd been killed by Zora right at the start?
It's okay. We'll just make another one. You can almost imagine that Deckard, the Blade Runner, maybe has been killed by replicants, and they're like, okay, let's get another one out.
No,
let's get another one out.
No, because that
I need the old Blade Runner back. Give me another one.
That just makes the Deckard character a complete waste. You might as well just not have a name.
He almost is. The Deckard character is, he is your vehicle to go through this film, to take you through this journey.
He is
about
human.
androids, about replicants.
He is emotional. He is excited. He is angry. He is everything the replicants are not.
No, the replicants are everything. The replicants are more alive and are living more than any other human in the film.
Oh, no.
That are stuck in their drudgery.
No.
Absolutely, they are.
And on top of that, there's not one
the
sequence
replicants...
in the film where Deckard's eyes shine. Like
Yes,
any
they
of the
do.
replicants.
Yes, they do.
What part?
With Rachel's in his apartment. It's there. I'll show you now. There you go. His eyes gleam just like Rachel's do. And I also think it's very poignant that at the end, Gaff says, "You've done a man's work, sir." It's kind of hinting that you've just done a human's work because you are a replicant too.
And what's he got? A 4-year lifespan as well? So the two
It's
of them?
unknown. Ridley Scott said that he might have been, a Nexus 7 model, and the next generation model.
The next generation, so that he could live until 30 years later.
Ignoring sequels.
Wait,
no,
not ignoring
I'm ignoring sequels for this film because the sequel came out more than 30 years later. The sequel is its own self-contained story, and whether Deckard is human or not doesn't matter. Whether he's a Nexus fucking 11 or whether he's a human, that doesn't even matter. It doesn't change the film a single bit.
It does. It may not change this film for you, but I've had to sit through almost 20 odd years of people pulling up that whole Deckard is a replicant card. Right? Yeah. All the nods and all the little swings and all the Ridley Scott said this and Ridley Scott said that and this is this and this is that. Harrison Ford himself has said he played Deckard as a human.
Yes.
And he conflicted with Ridley Scott throughout the whole production of the film because he was delivering Deckard one way and Ridley Scott wanted it another way. He didn't get it. Deckard is a human. He's been living on the earth for fucking years. He has fought many different types of replicants.
How do you know this? You don't know any of this.
You're
making this up.
I know this just as much as you know it that he's a replicant. So before
I've given you clues from the film. Yeah, you say he's a replicant.
And
You're giving me stuff that's not in the film.
And I'm giving you clues as well. He's got an apartment filled with all these pictures. He's got friendship. He knows Brian.
Pictures can easily be manipulated.
He knows Brian. He knows Holden. He knows where to be, where to go. He knows everything. He has this. Harrison Ford plays Deckard with an experience of being an experienced Blade Runner. Now, yes, before you start jumping on your high horse at me,
I think you're being very close-minded.
Say
Ian,
it.
very
No.
close-minded.
I've watched this film numerous times. I've opened my mind to every moment in this movie all the way through. I've watched every copy of the film that I can get a hold on, and all the stuff that is forced in there, that is put in there later on. Like I said, I watched it as a kid, hour-and-a-half version on ITV with adverts that didn't have any of the dream sequences or any of the extended stuff, that didn't come until 20 years fucking later. And Ridley Scott says to me, this is Blade Runner. And I go, no, it's not. The unicorn sequences that you put in there make no sense. Why would Deckard be dreaming about a unicorn? Oh, because we just want to make it out that his dreams are implanted. When would he have seen a unicorn in his life?
Nobody would have done.
Right, so why is it there then? Why would he?
Because it's been put in his mind.
Why would they put a unicorn in his mind, Gary? Just why? If you're gonna implant memories into anybody, like I would have totally bought like his dad playing baseball with him, or fishing with his brother, or fucking, I don't know, fucking pissing off a bridge for all I give a fuck. A fucking unicorn harkens back to legend because they look so fucking pretty, and they're in there, and he's like, well, it's supposed to be a replicant in there, and maybe we'll just leave this story for 20 odd years to see what the argument's gonna be like when we release the sequel and explain to everybody that they had a hybrid kid, Rachel and Deckard. Now, how could they have a hybrid unless one of them isn't a replicant?
The whole point of the story on the new film is that he has to be a replicant. Otherwise it doesn't work. Right.
No, you can still have a hybrid of two replicants.
We could go on about this. We have been going on about this for almost 30 fucking years.
Okay, explain to me Deckard's final reaction shot of the film.
He's acknowledging that they are watching him.
That's such a lame ending.
No.
Because of course it's obvious that they're watching him.
Whoa. It's a lame ending to you. To me, like I said, as a 12-year-old kid, it was his acknowledgement that he was going to get away with the girl. He'd gone throughout the whole film. Now, going back to what I originally stated at the start of this review, it's a detective story. And just like any detective noir films where they're being oppressed by the, upper echelons and being told that this is the way, they always leave little nods to the person saying, yeah, you can try to run, but we'll always watch you. You're always going to be our guy that we go to. Whenever there's a problem, we'll call on you. And he's like, yeah, all right, but I'm still running with her. It may be the fucking opening for the comment section for everyone to go, you're fucking insane, Ian, you're off the nut again. This is Deckard's view, this is my view, this is Ridley Scott's view. You can give me every other motherfucker's view in the whole universe, stack it up on a big pile, okay? Shine it up real nice, turn that sumbitch sideways, and stick up your candy ass, because for me, Blade Runner...
Why is that so important to you?
Because everybody sees the film differently. Everybody is an individual. That's what I'm saying, and that's what I'm defending. Because over the years, I've gotten into many arguments with you and many other people about how to interpret films. So many people will turn to me and say, you're wrong, Ian, that film isn't shit. It's amazing. And I have to defend why my view says that to also counter theirs. It's the same with you. You are so passionate about this film, just like every shelfer watching this right now has their own view on Blade Runner. And I respect it, and I admire it, and you can have it, and you can keep it, and we can argue forever. But
I would just like a bit more evidence before you start flattering yourself.
I'm not flattering. I'm just backing myself off, because you've got your evidence. I've got mine. I've got the normal hour-and-a-half version.
Okay, so watch the dated version of the film.
That's all. It may be dated, but that was the original way I watched it.
Sure.
All the extended versions I've watched drag the film out.
Well, there was a 4-hour cut of the
film.
Yeah,
exactly. I do not want
so you can understand why the producers went, no, Ridley, no.
I don't
Get
want
that unicorn shit out of my movie. You can go make Legend later.
Unicorn shit.
You can imagine if David dreamed of unicorns.
Oh man, okay, that would have made Covenant enjoyable. Actually, if like a unicorn had appeared, it'd been like, or maybe he made one on the planet and it's running around. That would have been cool.
Favorite scenes from Blade Runner, Ian?
Oh man, there's so many. The opening sequence, the city of LA. You know, even the little sequence where it like comes into the police station. The police station always looks like a train station.
Oh yeah,
to me. And then it comes into that little office, and it doesn't look like anybody's there doing their job. It's like, or not there doing the paperwork. Everyone's out. Maybe they got replicants doing it. I don't know. The technical side for the film is absolutely beautiful. You know, the checking the pictures, looking for Zora. You know, the investigations about the synthetics, the serial numbers. You know, just give me a scene. I'll tell you, it's fucking brilliant. You know, not the unicorn shit, okay? Or a couple of the unicorn sequences. You know, they are really filmed quite nice. Yeah. You know, it does look like a proper unicorn. I love the stuff with Rachel, the way she looks. Zora's beautiful. Fucking Daryl Hannah's amazing. Rutger Hauer. It's fucking Rutger Hauer. You know, I'm sorry, I'm stealing everything. The flying cars. Yeah. It's fucking beautiful.
Again, I don't have any favourite scenes from the film.
The blimp. I love the fact that you don't need to know anything more outside LA. Yeah. You know, we know that they're off-world, but we don't need to know. We don't need to see it. We don't need to know about England or Europe or anything like that. We're right here. You know, Sebastian's fucking theatre house. The little miniature toy droids that walk around and bump into doors.
Yeah, yeah. I don't have a single favourite scene from the film. I love this movie so much that there is no scene that surpasses the other when it comes to the lighting, the visuals, the camera work, the style. It captures everything so well that I wouldn't take a single scene out of the film, and I wouldn't alter it any more after the final cut. This is a near perfect film. So there's no particular favourite scene that stands out above the rest. They're all equally fantastic. So it should come as no surprise that I give this film the highest recommendation that I could possibly give. This film is an example of excellence in filmmaking, with world and character building by exploring themes of humanity in machines and mankind's loss of humanity in a futuristic dystopian setting where it's impossible to know who is truly alive. It's about finding meaning in life. Mm-hmm. The music score is beautiful and it matches the cinematography perfectly. The actors are all terrific and the vision from the director is fully realised on film. It's dark, it's neo-noir, and it's science fiction at its absolute best. Totally recommend Blade Runner.
I definitely recommend Blade Runner. It's, as I said, through my emotional outburst, it is one of those films that you can argue with somebody over how you interpret the movie compared to how they interpret the movie. Do not be overshadowed by these replicant-loving motherfuckers. If you're like me and love the fact that Deckard is just a normal guy investigating and trying to bring down these replicants before they cause any more harm on the planet, and falls in love with one itself, and obviously you got that whole stigma going on, that's what you need. If you want to explore the film, you know, there's no other better film out there to go on a massive deep cinema dive with.
Go listen to the commentary tracks. There's like 3 of them. The documentary making of that's longer than the film.
Just everything about this film. It's amazing that this film was made, and it's amazing that it's still loved now. You know, taking into account the sequels, you know, people bringing it back to say, look, you know, Blade Runner is amazing, because so many people I'd know at this age would be like, what? Blade Runner? I'm not watching that. It's an old film. And you just want to smack the fucking look off their face. Be like, get back in your cave. But you can ease them in with Blade Runner 2049, you know, and let them kind of make their own judgment. With the better special effects and cinematography and Ryan Gosling's fucking face. Ryan Gosling is a motherfucking replicant. Hell yes. Harrison Ford, no. For me, it boils down to 2 things. Blade Runner 2049 is the movie about a replicant who believes he's a man. Blade Runner is
the story of a man who believes he's a man.
A man who thinks he might be a replicant.
Okay. Should also point out that there was a very good video game based on Blade Runner as well.
Yeah.
Which a lot of the actors came back to reprise their voices for, obviously minus Harrison Ford. But the game was one that was on multiple CDs and explored lots of the same locations from the film. And lots of different locations, and you were a Blade Runner hunting down a different selection of replicants.
I did want to play it, but it was mainly on PC. I was just like, motherfuckers, today.
That game deserves a remake.
Maybe a Game of Friday.
Yeah. Thanks for watching Off the Shelf Reviews.
All those moments will be lost in time.